So in this lesson, 4.5, proving triangles congruent, we're going to look at three other methods to prove triangles congruent, and they are ASA, AAS, and HL. And first, I want you to do these 5 warm-up problems. Push pause, try them, and then check when you're ready. Double check your answers for 1 through 5. On 2 and 3, make sure that you marked your reflexive, that they are sharing, and then both of those ended up being side, side, side. Not possible for number 4 because this side is not over here to make it an included angle. So it ends up being not possible. So let's talk about an included side now versus an included angle. It's a side that's between 2 angles. So we can see here this side and then the angles that are on either side touching that. So it's directly one right after the other. There's no angle or side between. So it's an angle, then the side, then an angle. Again, nothing between. So let's go ahead, and if we're looking at angle Y and angle E, what is the side or the included side between them? It would be this one right here, YE. And then if we're looking at ES, and it would be angle E, angle S, this would be the side between the 2 angles, the included side. And last, S and Y, and you could say SY or YS. So our 3 other methods, again, are angle, side, angle, where it's an angle, then the side, then an angle. And if it's on both triangles, then those 2 triangles are congruent. We also have angle, angle, side, and that is where we have an angle and a side. So this one does not have to be included. That side does not have to be included. And then hypotenuse leg, HL, has to be a right triangle. So it has to have a right angle because it has to have a hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So there's our H. And then the L, or the leg, is just one of the other sides. It doesn't matter which one, the long leg or the short leg, as long as you have that leg on both and it's a right triangle, then those 2 triangles are congruent. So here are all the ones so far that work. We already have talked about side, 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 side angle, side in 4's lesson. And now we are adding these 3. Remember that angle, angle, angle. This one does not work because you could still have all the same angles, but look at these triangles. These are not congruent, but they have the same angle measures. So angle, angle, angle does not work. And then our bad word backwards or forwards is not a reason. And the reason for that one is you could have one triangle here, and then you could have it, but you could also, this could still be the same length, but it could be in here, and these are not congruent. So that is why our angle, side, side, angle, side, side does not work. Is not possible as a reason. So remember in 4.4, when we marked anything reflexive or anything vertical, we still need to do that same thing on these. And now we're looking at all of our possible options up in here of this box that work. So let's go ahead, and if it is a yes, we're going to put side, 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 angle, side on our yes spot. If it's a no, we want to put what else we would need to know, okay, to help us actually get it to be a yes. So I'm going to mark my reflexive, and I'm going to label what I have. And I have an angle, then an angle, and a side. And I, of course, have that over here as well. Angle, then an angle, then a side. So yes, angle, angle, side is one of my reasons. So on this next one, I'm going to go ahead and mark my reflexive and mark my alternate interior because of my vertical or my parallel lines. So I have a side and an angle and a side. So yes, SAS. And then I have my K and M is already marked, and it says that JL bisects KLM. So this angle and this angle, and then mark my reflexive. So angle, angle, side. I have angle, angle, side. And make sure again to check your other side. Make sure you have that as well. So on this one, I have a right angle, which means this is a right angle because they form a line. And then this is reflexive because they share that side. So I'm going to go ahead and since it's a right triangle, I'm going to look for hypotenuse, which is the longest side. I do have the H's. And then I have this one, which is an L. So I have an HL on both. So yes. On this one, I can't mark anything because they're not sharing anything. So my right angle, I have a leg, but I don't have the hypotenuse. So this would be a no. I need the hypotenuse. I'll just abbreviate. I need this right here on either side. I need this and this. All right, and on this one, I have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. Yep, that is a reason. ASA. All right, if you want to try this one, these three, G through I, go ahead and pause and try them and check when you're ready. Or you can continue to follow along. Angle, angle, angle. Nope, we need at least one side for ASA. So at least a side somewhere. And then here we've got our side they're shearing, the reflexive. It's a right, and this would be the hypotenuse. This would be a leg, so HL. And again, here they're sharing, and we do have the hypotenuse, and we do have a leg, so again, HL. So let's take a look at it in some proof forms. On this one, I'm going to mark what I have, which is that this is parallel to this side. L being the midpoint of WE means this is congruent to this. And definition of midpoint, so that is that WL is congruent to EL. And then I'm going to look for anything else I can mark. Is there reflexive? Is there vertical? Yes, there's vertical right here across from each other, these angles. So angle RLW is congruent to angle DLE by the vertical angles theorem. And then on this one, it's got angles. So it looks like with parallel lines, I can mark these angles here because of, so W and E, because of alternate interior. Because I have parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. So I'll put 2 arc marks there. And then I have congruent triangles. Let's see what I've got. I have an angle, a side, and an angle. I have an angle and a side and an angle. So ASA. So down here, this is a flowchart proof, and it's very similar to our 2-column proof. We have the reasons inside, or the statements inside, and we have the reasons kind of below that box. So looks like we have all of our givens here, and then we have reflexive. So reflexive angle, what angle are they sharing? If we're looking at this triangle and this triangle, they're sharing this angle N. N is congruent to N. And then let's mark our other pieces here. We know that KL is congruent to JM, and then we know that this angle up here and this angle up here are congruent. So why are they congruent? Well, angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side is the reason that those triangles are congruent. And this last one's a touch more involved than what you're going to see kind of anywhere else, but figured I would throw it in here. because it's kind of a lot of triangles within triangles. But X and V, if we marked those, and then Y, Z, W, marking that, and then W, Y, W, Z, marked that. And then we have an XY and a VY. And so now these triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. And so we have an angle and a side. And it's this triangle here that we're looking at and this triangle here that we're looking at. And they're kind of overlapping. So then it's, why can we prove parts congruent? CPCTC. Because if the triangles are congruent, parts are congruent. And then it's the congruent supplements theorem. So that's going to be the one that's supplementary to it. So here and here. And so that is going to be angle YZX congruent to YWV. And why are these triangles congruent? Again, we have an angle and a side. So it's this triangle here on the side and this triangle here on the side. Angle, angle, side. Again, way more involved than what you're going to see on a quiz or test, but just kind of throwing that out there. So take a look and review all of our different methods for proving triangles congruent and make sure that you are familiar with all 5. Also make sure that you know how to mark your reflexive, sides and angles, and anything else that might be vertical to help assist you. Also, if it helps to kind of label your sides, your angles, and then work your way around to name them, make sure that you do practice doing that.